Welcome to Thriving Tribesmen. My name is Kuri, your host, and I'm excited to be making this episode. One of my friends sent me a voice note, and I thought that was thought-provoking. He was talking about the disparity between the value of sex, and that's the disparity between men and women. And what does that mean, actually? It means that, for example, we oversupply sex to women, and therefore they see it as less valuable because it's easily accessible. So when it comes to sex within a relationship, or even changing a sexless relationship, one of the biggest things that you can do is cut the supply. And I've said this for many episodes and many years, but most guys, whenever I told them not to initiate, not to talk about sex, not to do anything, they find it difficult because they think, if I can just give her a little bit more sex, then she might actually change your mind. But really, it actually works against you. So it's absolutely spot on in terms of really when we come into our world within Reignited Men, or you come into Thriving Tribesmen, what generally happens is that we start teaching you on your self-worth, and for you to see how worthy you are and how she should be chasing you, because you are the price when it comes to sexual encounters. And a lot of you guys, because of TV, because of especially Friends has got a lot to answer for, but they've all been transactional driven seduction. So what does that mean? Which is I do something for you in order for us to get to have sex or have sex. So, for example, the guy will say, I would like to have sex with you. And then the woman will say, I'll give you sex when you do X, Y, Z. And this becomes this ritual on how to get sex. And all of a sudden, it really kills the passion pretty quickly. Now, I'm preaching to the choir because you've already been experiencing this stuff. But when it comes to increasing your value, there's certain things that you can do in order to increase your value, especially when you're communicating from your sexual value, because you have sexual value. In fact, when it comes to sexual value, the first thing that you need to know is that you are worth something. And just going back to a conversation I had with this same person, is that you are extremely valuable, and some of the things that you're doing in order to change the sexless relationship might cause it to feel uncomfortable. And most of you guys might feel a little bit bad because you're white knights, and that mindset of being a white knight is put you into a sexless relationship. You have to let go of that white knight syndrome and really put the pressure on her in order to show her that this is actually something serious. And when I say put pressure on her, I don't mean you're going to force her to have sex with you, or pressure her, or shame her into having sex with you. But you got to put it into a position where she understands that this is an important part of your relationship, something that you need to be both working towards. And where your self-worth stuff comes into play is that if she's not willing to do so, then at least it's a signal to say that maybe you might be making the decision to move on, especially if you've got your own self-worth, or at least not even self-worth, self-respect. For your self-respect reasons, you want to move on. Because a few people I've spoken to lately is that I think their relationship has come to the point where they have to move on, but because they lack that self-respect, they will stay there and they hate themselves, they hate their life, they hate everything about what's going on. And really, that person is killing you because you're not making that decision. They will never budge, they will never change, they will all continuously leave you in a sexless relationship. And they do not care whether you're sexless or not. In fact, they don't even care if you leave to a certain extent. So you have to sometimes be willing to put your relationship to the sword, to lack of a better term. And before I go off topic, it becomes very important to be able to do so. And by doing so, it is probably the biggest way you can start communicating your sexual value, that if you are not going to supply, then therefore you're no longer of any worth from a sexual standpoint. So I'm willing to take myself out of this equation. So it's very powerful mindset, because it then allows you to do these next three things if she decides to work on things. So one of the key things when it comes to communicating sexual value is that we don't understand as people, or at least as men, is that we take this sort of transactional way of method of doing things. I'm going to wash up the dishes. I'm going to clean the house. I'm going to take you to date nights. I'm going to, take you to couples retreats, do all these things. And as I do all these things, I just hope for an opportunity to have sex. And there is no sexual value that you communicate. In fact, her way of seeing, or at least seeing sexual value from you, it's going to come from something else that is completely different. In fact, it comes down to behavior. And if you notice from the point that I pointed out earlier, that these animals where they've got this disparity in terms of the males and females, like for example the peacocks, where there's more male peacocks than there is females, they go through this little dance, but it's more of a behavioral thing. So this behavior sort of creates a trigger for that female. Then that female goes, oh God, this is amazing, this is sexy. And we have the same in us as human beings, but we generally go to these socialized type scenarios where we've learned from Hollywood or Friends or whatever. Those are the ones that we tend to go to, and again, those never work because again, those are engineered. They're engineered by somebody who wrote it. Plus, on top of that, it's meant to be for entertainment. So there's music, there's all sorts of things that are meant to manufacture emotions in order for that to be entertaining for a person. Whereas for, again, some of it were feeding into some feminism ideology. Just putting that out there. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But anyways, it becomes more important to show certain behaviors in order to generate attraction from that person, or at least not just generate attraction, but also to communicate your sexual value in order to generate attraction. So one of the first ones, and this happened to me actually this past weekend, I went to watch my favorite football team, and I'm saying football team because in America they call it soccer, but I went to watch Arsenal and they played. It was a really good game. It meant that I was pretty much away from the house for the 7 hours or something like that. Usually weekend is sacred. I keep it for my girls because I stay at home, most of the time. But I was okay with doing that because I have been for many weeks staying at home doing stuff with them. But I needed to be scarce away from the house. So it's just that increase of value where we could miss each other, she could miss me, and know that I'm actually doing something that I'm enjoying, and there's no chance of me missing her or at all, and I'm around people that I enjoy being around. And this was very important. So when I came back around home, there was this sense of excitement that I'm back and we could connect, and that I was not there. And again, there was that opportunity for her to see my value, that okay, if I'm continuously there, she could maybe started taking me for granted on some aspects, but the fact that I was not there, she could see how much joy I bring to her day on the weekend, how much excitement we both share together, how many jokes we share, how many laughs we share, and so on. And then all of a sudden that is not part of her weekend. All of a sudden she realizes my importance. So when I came home, there was a level of excitement that he's back and he's there, and all that, those things that she was missing, all of a sudden they've come back. It's just, and the best way of describing it is kind of like walking through a desert and you're feeling thirsty, and then all of a sudden you find a well. And I'm just using it as an example that this is the sort of relationship that you can build amongst your this is the sort of habits that you can build into your relationship, that she sees you as such. Now, most of you guys spend a lot of time suffering with recovering from rejection, and you're really not nice people to be around because of your scarcity mindset. So therefore, she's quite happy not to spend time with you. But if you are playful and you are continuously available in a way that is playful and exciting, and it creates a sense of enjoyment or excitement amongst the house, this is a very good scenario. In fact, the day after we're having Mother's Day, we actually went on, and like my son was there, my daughter was there. As we're sitting on the table waiting for our food to come, we're playing a game of Uno, and it was incredibly competitive, but at the same time, incredibly exciting. And it's just creating that vibe amongst our household where we can all put our screens away and play a game and share that sort of environment. It's very important to and I know this has got nothing to do with being in a bedroom, but it's got everything to do to aid into when it comes to sexual value. And these are the things that you need to be doing in order to start communicating your sexual value. Because again, she's already bored with life. Being a mom is absolutely exceptionally boring. Being a parent is exceptionally boring. Being a responsible adult that looks after bills and all of it is all boring. Going to work is boring. Everything is boring. And the last thing you want is some sulky fucking husband that's wanting to have sex and gets sulky when he doesn't get his way. So again, this is when it comes to communicating sexual value, you have to have the ability to be scarce, and that's when you can be scarce and be able to do stuff that you enjoy and do them by yourselves or even with your friends. So I like to play golf. If I could be out doing stuff all the time, but out of the respect of my family, that I work so many hours and do so much, I try and spend as much time as I can when I do have free time. But time to time, I will find places where I can go by myself without them, so they can feel this sense, not for them to feel annoyed or bad that I've gone, but for them to actually, for me to be able to recharge and enjoy, because I enjoy that game. I felt recharged, I felt energetic, and also really, really good. So I don't know how, let me just have a look how far I've gone. I've got 11 minutes. I'm going to continue this on as a series. So today I talked about scarcity. In the next episodes, I'm going to talk about sexual disqualification and then also sexual intent. And then we'll make it into like a little mini series on this one, communicating sexual value. So I'm going to knock it on the head here, and then we'll continue on because it's such a good topic. It's such a broad topic when it comes to how much in terms of your investment that you need to do in order to extract value out of the actual sexual encounters, or at least even demonstrating your sexual value as well. There's also so many other things that you have to consider when it comes to doing that before you can even consider attraction and seduction. Because when you can do so, everything becomes so much easier and it weaves into each other rather than you sort of, and I will always talk about this. In fact, I've talked about this quite a few times, that when it comes to the woman getting into a place where she wants to have sex and she's ravenous to have sex, which is completely hot, normally she starts off from a place where she's completely cold, uninterested, and not even wanting anything to do with sex. And you have to be pushing along from cold to warm to hot. And the things that will push you along that is these type of behaviors, allowing you to be excited and be... and I'm not saying you should be a performing monkey, because I've said this to people and then they go the other way, where they just become incredibly, these, what you call it, court gestures. And the guy with the king will be dancing in front of the king. That's not what I'm saying. The governing thing about being entertaining and exciting and somebody who's well amongst the family, it's more about personal amusement. So every time when we're joking around, a lot of it is just for me to have fun. So I'm saying stuff that will make me laugh, and then they're part of it. So and again, whether she laughs or doesn't laugh, I don't care, as long as I'm enjoying myself. And generally, it works out as such. And the perfect example for this, my last example, I promise, is that comedians have to find themselves funny. They have to find what they're going to say hilarious before they deliver that line. Because, again, if you took your favorite comedian's transcript and you read it, you would not find it funny. So the guy who's delivering the comedy has to find it funny. And it's the same thing, that the personal amusement side of things is what creates that environment where there's excitement and so on. So, and again, you coupling that with scarcity, because obviously, and that's the reason why I've put that in there, that you have to already be living a life where everybody enjoys your presence in the house. So when you do go and do something of scarcity, it's of value, and that is what aids into you communicating your sexual value, because that's when it comes to sexual currency, scarcity is one of them, and the other bit is disqualifying yourself sexually, which is we're going to dive a little bit deeper into tomorrow. And then sexual intent as well is another one which is going to be interesting to dissect. So thank you very much, guys. I'll be seeing you guys soon. Take care.